Your guys was good. So a lot of you guys been asking, yo, like, how do you calculate your macros and stuff like that. I always reply by saying, yo, macros aren't the only way or the end all or whatever to do your diet or follow your diet. But I think it's a really good way to get started, honestly. Like if you're trying to lose weight or bulk up, whatever the case is. A lot of you guys are trying to, gain muscle or get leaner and stuff. So I think macros are actually pretty good for that. Just one thing I think about macros that people get kind of confused with or wrong with is like the flexible way of eating, where like people think about like cookies, ice creams, and stuff like that. That means that you can include that in your macros. Technically you can, but the main concept should also still be that eat whole foods, eat vegetables, eat fruits, and then maybe the last 10-15% you can enjoy yourself a little bit. That's where the sustainability comes in, right?
Yeah.
So that's where like you become more sustainable with following a way of dieting. So we're gonna kind of explain. He'll kind of explain it. I'll kind of ask questions along the way of how you calculate your macros. So we have it kind of written out here, but we'll explain the whole thing.
Right. So the first and foremost thing you guys want to focus on is your overall calories. Right. So now you guys see we've made this triangle pyramid where the most important to the least important. So as you guys can see, the calories will be the most important. Right. So in order to calculate how many calories you actually need, right, we have to first assess what your goal is. If your goal is to maintain, you take your body weight times a number from 14 to 16, get your maintenance. If you're trying to cut, 10 to 13 times your body weight. If you're trying to bulk, you get 16 to 18. The next most important thing is your actual macros. Your macros are your macronutrients, which is your carbs, proteins, and your fats. These are actually the things that we want to track.
Yeah.
Right? So
Ronan macros. Yeah.
What are some examples of protein that you track versus carbs and fats you track?
So for protein, I would say egg whites, whey protein, chicken breast. And I usually use MyFitnessPal to track the calories I eat or whatever, carbs or chicken breast in this case. And for carbs, I would probably do banana, strawberries, brown rice, sweet potatoes, stuff like that. And then fats might be like almond butter. Even eggs have fat, but they have protein also. Cashews, almonds, things like that. So those would be the macronutrients, right?
Now those are all the clean foods.
Yeah.
Now what if somebody's going out and let's say they're going to a birthday party?
Yeah.
What are some options they can eat for proteins, carbs, and fats at a party?
At a party. So if someone tells me prior to actually going to a party, like if a client or something like, yo bro, I have this wedding coming up, what I usually suggest to them is like plan ahead, so that during the day I'm like, yo, just have protein, so just have like whey protein, egg whites and stuff like that, and then no tension, just enjoy the food at the wedding.
Yeah.
But right, so that's the sustainability factor around it. But if you're another level where you're trying to compete and stuff, first of all, that wouldn't be a problem for you because you'd probably take your Tupperware everywhere.
You weren't even going to the party.
Yeah, you wouldn't even go to a party.
No.
But like if you were, like, then you could probably ask like the waiter or whatever, hey, can I get chicken breast? Can I get not too much oil, stuff like that. They do have those options, but people don't really like asking. Or like I've gone to McDonald's once and can I just get the patty? I don't want the buns, stuff like that. But I think that gets too complicated and you don't need to do that. But this allows you to do it.
There's always options for you guys to eat. That's why we're showing you.
Yeah.
Right. So we've determined how many calories you need. And now you can kind of figure out what your macros will be for the amount of calories you need based off your goal.
Yeah.
Right? So if you are bulking, you would take the percentage of calories like this and calculate them. If you're cutting, you take the percentage of calories and calculate them with your maintenance.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever you are eating, whatever amount of calories you're eating. Right? So for example, you have a 150-pound person who wants to lose body fat. Right? You're going to take 150 pounds times 12, right? So we figured that anywhere from 10 to 13, we took 12, which is the median, right? So 150 times 12 gives you about 1,800 calories to cut on, right? How do we figure out what macros to eat with 1,800 calories? Well, that's when we come here. 35% of those 1,800 calories will go towards your protein and your carbs, right? I don't know if they can see this here, but if you guys don't know already, 1 gram of protein and 1 gram of carb is 4 calories, whereas 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So be careful with the amount of fat you're taking in.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so make your calculations accordingly, and you'll get your desired macros. Now, for this 150-pound person, their proteins and carbs would come out to 158 grams, where their fats would come up to 60 grams per day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So calculation was pretty simple, pretty easy.
Yeah. One thing I do want to mention is like things like, here you see we have ranges, right? So 14 to 16, 10 to 13, 16 to 18. There's a reason behind that, right? Like just because everybody is different, there's so many other factors involved in just beside your weight. Like that 150-pound could be like 50 pounds overweight. Then that person to cut on, they probably need to go on the lower end, like 10 instead of 13. But that person could be really, not really have that much fat, so they could probably go into the higher range. Or like they have a really active job, like do construction or whatever, so they burn a lot of calories, right? So they can afford to cut on higher amount of calories. So that's where the 13 thing comes in, right? Again, here you see like the percentages, again, they're just give you a guideline. They're not like the exact percentages you have to have to get your gains, right? Like you can play around with it. One thing we both do is like when we have someone we're coaching, we tell them to track their weight every single day in the mornings, either before going to the washroom or after, but keep it consistent. And then we take weekly averages, right? So say we gave this 150-pounder his macros of whatever it was, 158 protein, 158 carbs, and then 60 fat. And then we told him to follow the macros for 2 weeks straight, and let's see what his weekly averages were, right? So in one example, if the person is losing a pound every week, like the first 2 weeks, the macros are good, don't need to change him, right? If he ends up gaining weight somehow, then we might need to adjust these calories, obviously, right? Then the maintenance might be, or these calories might be too high.
Yeah.
Or, you know, stuff like that. So it's all subjective, but this gives you like a nice little guideline, right? Everyone's gonna be different, everyone's gonna be taller, leaner, fast metabolisms, shit like that, right? Like for me, for example, I bulk on like 2,800 calories. But right now you're eating how much?
Like 4,500 calories.
Yeah, so he's bulking on 4,500 calories, right? So it's all subjective, but this gives you a nice starting point. So take this as a starting point. If you take it as like the fucking main guide for everything.
End all be. It's not an end all be all, guys.
Yeah. So you got anything to add to that?
The only thing I'd like to add is the best way to make gains is to be consistent, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys can't track your food all the time, you're eating chicken breast and rice all the time, it's not going to be sustainable for you guys.
Yeah.
Right? So whether your goal is to bulk, whether it's to cut, or just to maintain how you look right now, make sure what you're doing is something you'll be able to do for a very long time. Right? So 100%. If you do want to eat the pizza here and there, if you do want to have, a burger here and there, go ahead and have that.
100%.
But also realize that you need to adjust things so that you're continuing to achieve your goal and work towards your goals. Right? So,
and one last thing for to mention was like we got over the calories, we did the macros, right? So this is what we were talking about at the start, where like people think macros are like flexible dieting, where you skip your vegetables, just have ice cream instead. But as long as you hit your macros, you're good, right? So get your vegetables in, get your fruits in, get your whole foods in, and then go to the other stuff if you have like a little bit of leftover like calories or stuff like that, right? But make it a part of like your daily diet. Don't make it like, yo man, I follow my macros, I can have ice cream or Halo Top ice cream. That's the famous shit,
go
right?
to for most people.
Yeah. Anything to add to that micro stuff? Or?
No, for the micros, like just eat your vegetables.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you'll be fine if you eat your vegetables. You have your greens. And other than that, meal timing, I don't feel like is that important. But if you are somebody who's already following your calories, your macros, you're eating your vegetables, and you're looking for something extra to kind of add into your daily
toolkit
or whatever you want to call it. Meal timing, eating every 2 to 3 hours, I'd say.
Right? Or like focusing around like your workout period, like have your whatever fast digesting carbs like couple hours before working out, and then keeping your fats lower after your workout, just because you'll be having more carbs afterwards. having like that protein shake that people, infamous protein shake.
Oh yeah.
If you don't have it, you're gonna lose all your gains.
45 minutes.
The anabolic window, right?
Yeah.
So like there is some truth to it. Like your body's depleted and stuff and needs the nutrients. And why not feed it when you're hungry, right? So, well, that's not always right, but you know what I mean. If you're working out and you get that nice glycogen depletes and everything, your body usually needs protein just to recover, and then a couple hours later have some fast acting carbs. But like we mentioned, like you don't need to always time your meals. Don't stress about that. That's like the very last thing if you really need to step your game up, kind of thing.
That's a small detail.
Yeah.
Work on the big things, the foundational things for your diet. Nutrition will be your calories, your macros, making sure you're eating generally healthy.
Yeah.
And then adding in, the little bit of pizza, fries, and burgers, whatever.
Yeah.
And then also focusing on some meal timing around that as well will help. But that's pretty much it, guys. Would you like to add anything else on it?
No, I'm good. I think that's pretty. Hopefully that gives you guys a guideline to follow, and it's not like too much information, right? It's like it's really pretty simple.
If you guys have questions,
Yeah.
leave them in the comments below.
Yeah.
We'll answer as many questions as you get.
Yeah.
Or DM us if you'd like to
Slide in.
slide in.
I know if you do it. It's not. All right. See ya.